Welcome back to Master Your Glass with me, Livio, Lauro. Today we're going to make Moscow Mules, 3 different types to be specific. I liken this drink a lot to the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not because of how it tastes. Oh, never mind. Let's just get started. Okay, so we can get to the peanut butter and jelly story later, but this drink is said to have been created in the 1940s by 3 people who put their heads together. One was John, but he went by Jack. Another one was John, and he did go by John. And the third one was Rudolph. So John, the first one, was Jack Morgan, and he was the owner of the Cock and Bull restaurant in California, in Hollywood. He was also the owner of this cool little ginger beer that had just landed back in those days. The second gentleman, John Morton, he worked for Hubline, which was an import company that was marketing Smirnoff vodka. And the last one, Rudolph Kunit, was of course in charge of Smirnoff vodka for the Hubline company. So the 3 of them had what we can call either a problem or an opportunity, and it is said that they turned it into an opportunity by mixing together Smirnoff vodka and ginger beer together with a little splash of lime. So a recent story, actually not too recent, from 2004 in Ted Hayes' book, Vintage Spirits and Forgotten Cocktails, points out also that Jack Morgan's girlfriend sold copper mugs. And so they had access to these beautiful copper mugs, which in turn were also used. Hence kind of the story of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So we have a person that has the sliced bread, we have a person that has the peanut butter, and we have a person that has the jelly. Combine the 3 together and out comes an easy-going, easy-drinking beverage that we have all learned to enjoy and that we've also all learned to make a platform out of to create more styles of drinks. So having said that, I'm gonna make 3 different versions today for you. The first version of the Moscow Mule that I'm going to make is what I believe was the most classic or traditional recipe that was created. I was even able to get my hands on the copper mug that it was produced in and this cool little cocktail pick. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some crushed ice. Now, if you don't have crushed ice at home, that's quite fine. You can just make this with regular ice, or you can do, as I am doing here, with a bag of some sorts and crush the ice cubes. I am then going to add the ice into this copper mug. And don't worry if it doesn't go all the way on the top. You can always fill more ice once you are done mixing the drink. Now this mug here is a little smaller. And I'll be honest with you, while most recipes of the Moscow Mule will call for 2 ounces of vodka or 60 mils, in this one here, I'm going to pour 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of Elyx Vodka by Absolute. Elyx is a single estate vodka made exclusively from wheat from Rabeloff Castle and water from the distillery's own well. It is said that everything that is involved in the creation of this vodka takes place within a 15-mile radius, and that's really cool. The vodka is produced in an antique copper column still and is bottled at 42.3 alcohol by volume. And I felt like this was perfect because, well, we're using a copper mug. Let's use a copper distilled vodka. Next, I'm going to top the drink with Fever Tree ginger beer. I love this ginger beer. It's going to have that nice, fresh ginger flavor to it, not make the drink too cloying. And then last but not least, I prefer just a touch of lime juice inside of my Moscow Mule. So I'm going to just squeeze the wedge of 1 lime inside this drink. I'm going to give this all a nice little stir. And if there were any ice to top, I would do that now. And put a little authentic swizzle stick inside of this drink. And this guy is ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste. Of course, I'm going to move this out of the way. Oh yeah. So refreshing. So a couple things to say here is if you don't have a copper mug, just make it in the glass. I will say there is a difference though. I can't say it's all the same. The copper mug is so thin and therefore you're getting more of the sensation of the drink. And then also it stays super super, super cold, which is what you want from a nice Moscow Mule. Very delicious. I'm excited. One thing I really enjoy about the Moscow Mule is the ability to actually personalize it and make it your way, maybe use a seasonal fruit of some sort or whatever you have available. And so for the second one, I'm gonna make you a strawberry Moscow Mule, very simple. And I'm gonna muddle the fruit, and I don't know that I trust these metal cups too much, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that inside of a mixing glass. And in here, I'm gonna add 3 chopped up strawberries. And then to that, I'm gonna add a 1/2 ounce of lime juice, fresh pressed. And then to that, I'm gonna add another 1/2 ounce of liquid Alchemist Simple syrup. I'm gonna give this a nice muddle and get all those ingredients to make a nice, thick, syrupy, almost paste for me. And then once I'm done, I'm gonna dump that into the Mule cup. Next, I'm gonna add some crushed ice right on top of that, all the way to the top. And then with that, I'm gonna add, again, 1.5 ounces of Elyx Vodka. After that, I top it with my Fever Tree ginger beer. And then just as a garnish, I'm gonna put a lime wedge and 1/2 of a strawberry. Now's the time to add more crushed ice if you need to. And this drink is ready to drink. I just love this variation. I love the ability that the Mule gives you to actually take seasonal fruit and add them and incorporate them inside of your drink. And so in this case here, I'm getting those bright strawberry flavors. A little bit of the sweetness from the liquid Alchemist Simple is also pushing up some more of that ginger flavor. And so I'm really enjoying it. Now, when it comes to this drink, I don't like to make similar fruit flavor mules. So no, I won't be jumping into maybe a raspberry mule or a blueberry mule. I think it's time for something a little bit more savory, and I'm gonna use the English cucumber. To do that, I'm gonna take this cucumber, I'm gonna just cut 2, maybe 1/2-inch slices off of it, cut those in half, and then dump them into my mixing tin. And then along with a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup and a 1/2 ounce of lime juice, I'm gonna give this a nice muddle, and just like I did earlier, create that nice little syrupy consistency that's then going to, of course, flavor my Moscow Mule. After dumping the muddled cucumber, lime, and simple inside of my Moscow Mule glass, I'm gonna go ahead and add the crushed ice, and then follow that with 1.5 ounces of Elyx Vodka. And then once again, I'm just gonna top that up with my Fever Tree ginger beer. I'm gonna give this a nice little mix and bring up all those ingredients. And then lastly, just so I know what is in my mule, I'm gonna add a lime wedge, of course, and I'm gonna add 2 slices of the English cucumber. And this one too is ready to go. Again, very much so impressed by this drink because of its ability to customize it. This drink here is completely different to this version here, which was completely different to this version here. So I am a big fan of the Mule. I'm just gonna put these 3 right here in front of me. One last story to say is that a 2007, I believe, article in the Wall Street Journal claimed that the story of the Moscow Mule changed, and that it was actually the bartender inside of the Cock and Bull restaurant that had mixed the drink for the first time because he was trying to go get rid of some dead stock. Of course, we weren't there. I always tend to believe the bartender, but on this story here, I also believe that it's probably very credible that the boss, right, who owned the restaurant and owned the ginger beer, might have asked the bartender to make this drink. So it was actually collaborative. One last rant on this whole story and on the Moscow Mule was that recently, this past August, I was on the Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and of course I went to visit the site of the old Cock and Bull restaurant. And of course, it was completely emptied out and rebuilt as a Jaguar dealership, because why wouldn't you want to buy your Jaguar on the Sunset Strip, right? The story gets even more frustrating for me because the Jaguar dealership, of course, closed down, and now this place is an empty building. And what I feel, my sentiment about it is, of course, restaurateurs, bar owners, we're always trying to find the next best thing. What's the next two cuisines we can make it fusion out of? Or what is the next gimmick? Well, I have an easier one for you. Why don't we just get the Cock and Bull restaurant back where it was and make more mules? Because this drink has made a lot of people happy, and it is a true enjoyment to make it. I really do hope you enjoyed this episode of Master Your Glass. If you've made a mule before, please do comment below and tell me what it was and how you liked it. If you've never made a mule before, why don't you do the same thing? And I really would appreciate it if you did enjoy this video, that you'd give us a like and that you'd come back to Master Your Glass with me, Livio Lauro, where you get expert instruction for everyday consumption.